Amen. Well, listen, everybody, thank you very much. I want to welcome you to the Facebook Live. I'm Ambassador Scott Brown. I'm the United States Ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa, to include Cook and Niue, our interest in Antarctica. And I came up with an idea to basically, have something a little bit more fun. Things tend to be kind of doom and gloom all the time, obviously, over the last month and a half, and people need hope. And one of the first people I thought about who is very hopeful and is always appreciative and always philanthropic with our troops, especially with kids, and is a businessman who, quite frankly, Gene, as I showed you earlier, I think I've contributed to the KISS/Gene Simmons empire with all the stuff I hear, which is mine, except the drum kit that Eric lent me here. This is all mine, so I feel a part of the family. I want to just thank you and obviously KISS and you and your family for everything you do. And everybody, I want to introduce Gene Simmons, co-founder of KISS. Gene, please take it over here.
Hi, Planet Earth. Obviously, we're coming to you live, the ambassador and yours truly, to New Zealand first, but this is being seen around the world. And there's some actually good news. There really is. Right now, even in the darkest days, right now, there are people passing away terribly around the world because of this pandemic. But there is some good news. Despite what you may have heard politically or anything, doctors from every nationality, New Zealand doctors, yes, even Australian doctors and New Zealand doctors, I know the dynamic, I've been to both countries many times, are actually talking with each other. There's a very good chance there's going to be treatment in 6 to 9 to 10 months. And we're told, we have some friends in high places, as they say, we're told in a year or so, there is going to be a vaccine. But at the same time, we're all talking. Don't forget about the headlines where everybody's blaming each other and all that. That's politics, and that's okay. Let it be what it is. But the scientists from all over the world are actually getting along and talking, and nobody's trying to say, well, this is only going to be a New Zealand vaccine. No, it's going to be for all humanity, and we're all going to survive this, or we're going to be in deep trouble. Because if you're a student of history, we went through these a few times before. I'm a survivor of the polio pandemic, okay? I had polio when I was 3 years of age. That's right. And it wasn't until Dr. Jonas Salk discovered the vaccine 6 years later that I was able to get fully cured. I was paralyzed from the waist down, all that stuff. So we have a chance only by working together. All for one, one for all.
Amen, Gene, from your lips to God's ears. I'm going to just start with the questions. And I have the first one here. Mike from New Zealand, he is asking us, during this ongoing virus madness, what have you both been doing to keep your spirits up and get through the days as they blur into 1, 2, or maybe even longer months? What are you doing, Gene, you and your family and the guys?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to be safe. Shannon's trying to be safe by staying home most of the time. And we're blessed. I understand. Not everybody can stay home. If you have to go out and feed your family, you've got to be safe. But we have an advantage. My daughter is right here. Videotape. Come on then.
I'm not.
Yes, here, come again. Yes.
Come on, Sophie.
My daughter's right here. And that's a semblance of sanity right there. She's a button pusher, and she knows beep, 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 beep.
By the way, we all tested negative, which is why we're not wearing masks. We're very safe.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really important point. I just went out to get some medicine, for Shannon. We went together. We could have been like another X-Men superheroes with gloves on and with masks and even with glasses, because your eyes can sometimes get it. For now, it's difficult. But I just want to give everybody a moment to smell the coffee. We have nothing to complain about. We really don't. I know it's tough out there. People are not. We have nothing to complain about. Just understand it in terms of history. My mother was 14 years of age when she survived the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. Okay? That's not so long ago. That's about 70, 75 years ago. She survived Nazi Germany. During World War II, again, 50 to 100 million people died, not counting all the people, that had New Zealand troops went out there and gave the ultimate sacrifice. And yes, even the Aussies. I know New Zealand and the Aussies have had their dance.
Yeah, you're helping. You're helping that.
I get it.
Love it.
It's all nonsense, but they love each other. And if you take a look at this pandemic compared to what went on in World War II, when the great generation, your grandfathers and your great grandfathers, were asked to give the ultimate sacrifice, risk their life, go over there, and you probably won't come back. Today, you're asked to stay at home if you can, and people will risk their lives to bring food to you at home. And if your house catches fire, firemen will risk their lives to come and put the fire out. And if somebody breaks into your home, the police, God bless them, will come in there and risk their lives, and they do every day, and to try to keep you safe and sound. What's your mandate? Watch TV, and if you're hungry, just pick up the phone or order something. Come on, what's the problem?
There you go. Well, I don't disagree with you. We're obviously here and we're blessed too. I mean, I'm representing the United States of America. I'm in a beautiful home with a beautiful yard and a beautiful wife and dog. And, we're here and we get it, believe me. And I'm trying to obviously stay in shape. I ride, I run, I swim, and I obviously watch a lot of TV. And, I'm just sorry that your show isn't on still. Can we catch it on reruns?
Yes, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels is being seen in reruns around the world. All 167 episodes on it. Somebody's trying to steal the limelight.
Yeah. I don't know what my wife's doing. She's going right out the door here. But anyway, I can't. Whatever. Listen,
I would respectfully suggest not to use this hand gesture when it comes to your wife. No, you'll get that back in spades later on. You'll see.
Oh my gosh, it's been 33 years, and I know you guys have been married a while as well. And as an extension of what you were talking about, you've always been a supporter, as I have, of first responders and those on the front line, as you just referenced, like those dealing with the pandemic. What would you like to say for those who are listening now, and obviously dealing with that very important issue, as you said? Any thoughts?
We take so many things for granted because if you're hungry, God bless us if we can, afford to get food delivered to our homes. But you just eat it. I don't like it. It's a little hot. It's a little salty. It's not too salty. All this kind of stuff. Somebody risks their life to get into a car, cover themselves up, and they do this again and again and again to make sure you get fed. And the first responders aren't just the doctors on the front lines who are in the middle of the pandemic. Every day they're surrounded by it. The nurses, the ambulance drivers, the operators who take the phone calls 24 hours a day because you never know when something happens. It just goes on. The people who are out there in the front lines, we're way in the back. We're where there's food and safety, and the ones who complain the loudest are not the doctors and the nurses who are in the thick of it. It's people like us who think, what, it's a little chilly in here. My air conditioning's not working. Oh, come on. So I'm sometimes embarrassed when I hear some of my friends talking on the phone. What's the matter with you? My back's a little sore. And I go, shut up.
I know you sound like me. I want to just show you. I showed this earlier. This is a book that's a really great book in New Zealand. And a buddy of mine, Bruce Sedcole, he lives across the street, actually came over and let me borrow this ticket from 1980 when you were here in New Zealand. So he's got a part of history, and obviously you guys are in the legendary book as I showed you, and so that's all good. And I'm here, and I've got my as many of my memorabilia stuff here, but I've got so much KISS stuff, it's just crazy. And that being said, tell me the world tour isn't really over, especially, quite frankly, because it got cut off really before you could really give it that final, hurrah. Are you going to be able to get back to New Zealand? Are you going to be able to continue to tour around? And if so, what's the plan?
The answer is yes, 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 yes. First and foremost, it doesn't matter about me, and the band and all that stuff. The most important thing is to keep you guys safe because we love you, okay? Without the fans, we're nothing and we're nobody. I'd be asking you, if you were next in line, if you'd like some fries with that. In fact, that person is cooler than I will ever be, okay? So it's less about self-aggrandizement and more about we are going out there once it's safe. Once we have a vaccine out there And the scientists, not the politicians, are telling us, okay, open the doors, celebrate life, go out there and enjoy yourself. Then we're going out there. We've already done 110 cities in the world. We were coming to New Zealand and Australia. And first time Paul hurt himself, and that's been in the papers, and we had to cancel that. And New Zealand as well. I promise you, as I'm sitting here today, we look forward to coming back.
Amen. Amen. I got a question for a buddy of mine who saw you guys up in New Hampshire, and he actually met you backstage. He said, do you think there's ever a time when Evan Stanley and Nick Simmons takes over and carries on that KISS tradition?
That's an interesting idea, but the only person who's going to take over is Sophie. See, she's sitting right here.
Hey, amen. I'll buy the tickets. You let me help. I'll sell the tickets.
Already got hits on Spotify and all that. Just look up Sophie Simmons, and you'll see it. You like that? Okay. That's what I thought.
And your guys can look up Ayla Brown, season 5 of American Idol. There you go, buddy. Right back at you. There was actually, you were supposed to come to New Zealand, and the project actually interviewed you guys in LA. That's when Eric said, hey, our favorite fan is Ambassador Scott Brown. I lent him my drum kit, which is right there. And they're asking a question, so I'm just going to read it. The project in New Zealand is asking, are you worried with COVID-19? The name KISS is no longer appropriate, and you might have to change your band's name to Polite Nod from a distance of 2 meters.
Well, there's always a faraway kiss, right? There's always this. This too will pass, really. And all I ask anybody is, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like there's no hope, just think of what your grandfather and what your great-grandfather and mother had to go through, okay? And even before then, you had the Great Depression and World War I and World War II and all the different wars. We're going to get over this, and the death rate really is high. But we'll get control over this. We're going to do it because we're taught. I just want to go back to the main point again. The scientists of every nationality, New Zealand and China, well, they always talk with each other, and that's good. They're all talking, and together we're going to get to the finish line much faster. Only together.
Amen. Once again to that. I want to shift to the music, because a lot of the questions I'm getting are obviously about you guys. Listen, it's been, over 50 years? You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, like I said, I think I even have KISS Pez, KISS Potato Heads, KISS shot glasses, KISS coasters. I've got every album you've ever made. I got a puzzle down there. I got, the dolls right here. It's incredible. Why do you think? I mean, you're an amazing marketer, and to keep on with that legendary KISS brand. I mean, why do you think you guys have been so popular? I mean, what's the appeal to people?
It's not fair for us to kind of go, oh, I know what the secret sauce is. People either love you or they don't. I suppose part of it is you have a few good songs people like. That's cool. It probably helps if your stage show doesn't stink. That's pretty cool. If your imagery works and they like that, and that's pretty cool. If they want to dress up like you and put your faces on their bodies and tattoos, that's pretty cool. If they want to form tribute bands and dress up like you and do your songs, that's pretty cool. If they on and on, ad infinitum, ad nauseum. They're all pieces of the pie, but at the end of it, I can't tell you how much and that includes every single member of KISS that's ever been in the band, from Ace and Peter all the way up to today to Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. We're so forever grateful for been given the chance to climb Mount Olympus, because I got to tell you, the view from up here, it's just breathtaking. And every time we get up on stage, whether it's in a stadium, an arena, it takes your breath away. Like nothing, you can't buy that feeling. There's no can that says KISS feeling right there to be in the band. Doesn't exist.
It does not. I want to reintroduce everybody. I'm U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand, Scott Brown. I'm here live on a Facebook Live chat with Gene Simmons, co-founder, legendary rocker from KISS. He's at home in California, and we are taking your questions if you want to go onto the Gene Simmons Facebook, the KISS Facebook, and or obviously the New Zealand Embassy and U.S. Embassy in New Zealand website. We can take your questions. One of the questions that the folks have some of the folks have, and I'm just going to ask a couple of like things that people have asked me like over and over and over and over. What is your favorite song? Like, do you have a favorite song? Like, I literally can play a ton of your songs, but I listen to them regularly. Is there a specific song that you like?
It's probably for me. I'll call him back.
The president. I think it's the president.
Is it?
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, you weren't specific, so you asked me what my favorite.
You like that you play, that you personally play, that the band plays, and then what's your favorite song? Period. How about that? Is that specific enough?
We probably a song I wrote when I was maybe 17. It's a song called Deuce. And the only reason, and that's been covered by Lenny Kravitz and all kinds of people through the years, but the only reason that's my favorite song is for many years we opened up the tours with that song. So songs are like soundtracks of your life, right? It's not just a song. People get married with songs. Unfortunately, there are funerals with songs. You celebrate with songs. Happy birthday to you. Wow, not bad in pitch. So all that stuff happens, and it's with music, and those bits of music remind you of things. And for me, the very first song we ever played when we got up on stage in front of a decent-sized audience was Deuce, and we continue to do that song. So that song, the Kiss song, is my favorite, although everybody has their favorites, and that's cool. My favorite song of all time was written by a comedian of all people, and nobody would know that. It's called Smile, and it's apropos for today. And I hope you look it up. All kinds of people, Michael Bublé, all kinds of people have done it. Smile, though your heart is aching, smile. And it ends with, when you just smile. And it's a song that's needed today. That song was written by Charlie Chaplin.
Really?
And it's what's called a perfect song because it doesn't start off with with a lick or drums. It just starts off with smile, though your heart. It starts right in there, and it ends with you just smile. There are great songs like that are perfect songs. Yesterday, all my, and it goes on and on, but there's no drum rolls or guitar lick, just goes right into the melody. And the first word is the name of the song, is the thing you remember, and it's in essence the chorus. Those are perfect songs. Impossible to write, by the way.
You know, it's funny you asked when we were setting this up where folks are listening from. We have folks from India, Australia, obviously New Zealand, the United States. We have a tremendous amount of people watching from our embassies, which has initially been the main focus. And when people submit questions, please tell us where you're calling in from. I know that you have interest with some of the members of the band. Sporting, you have obviously music, you have the Kiss cruises. I mean, all the stuff like
restaurant chains.
Yeah, right. Restaurant, of course. And your Vault series, the Kiss Gene Simmons Vault. I mean, you have so many different interests. And now with everything that's happening, how do you feel we'll come out of that? I mean, I know you said it's up to the scientists, but like right now we're in level 2. Scientists are kind of giving us guidance, but you have to rely on common sense as well. Is there any trigger in your mind and is there any amount of people that you feel comfortable performing in front of to get back at it?
There are different rules. There are more people in Los Angeles County than there are people even in Australia. Right, like 28 million, something like that in the county. There are more people than New Zealand. LA specifically and New York specifically, especially New York, people are on top of each other. There's so many people together. It's difficult when you're in an apartment building to come out of anywhere and keep social distancing. It's almost impossible. So we have to figure this out. The scientists and the politicians, and hopefully they'll get together. It's New York rules, London rules, Paris rules, the Tokyo rules. There are more people in Tokyo than these other cities. When everybody's in large buildings packed in together, never mind India and China, where you have 1,300,000,000 people and 400,000,000 people packed into one country. Those are different kinds of rules and should be than rules in New Zealand where you have lots of breath, clean, fresh air and distancing between the people. So I would urge all politicians, and New Zealand's got a terrific prime minister, very, very impressive. She's a real, I can't use these words, but on the street I would say, she kicks it. But I wanted to say that I hope the politicians and the scientists get together and understand there needs to be different sets of laws depending on how closely packed we are to each other. It doesn't have to be a genius to figure that out.
Common sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely common sense. I got a question from Jennifer, and I have more questions going to be coming up. Jennifer in North Carolina, what did KISS think of MTV when it came out in 1981? I.e., did it change the way you thought of your music and how it could be seen rather than just being heard?
It was never really an issue. Sometimes we gave in to peer group pressure and everything. But, the great bands, sorry to mention an Australian band, even AC/DC, there are bands that stay true to your DNA. This is who you are. Be comfortable in your own skin. Fads and fashion come and go. New romance, alternative, this kind of music, grunge, it all comes and goes. At the end of the day, just be yourself. And so MTV came in and a lot of bands started to look the same. It was the pretty boy era, and that's okay. If your music's fine, and that's fine. Bon Jovi was a terrific example of that, where the guys started to look better than their girlfriends. Great hair and makeup stuff, cool clothing, and they were thin and sexy kind of music. That's cool. But when it cuts off the possibility of a band being completely different, you got to give it a moment of clarity and sanity to understand. When I started listening to music, it was pre-Beatles, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino. That's when I first came to America. And then when I saw all the different bands, you could have Elvis on one hand, and you had the Beatles, and you had Motown, black R&B, and then the English bands came. Led Zeppelin had nothing to do with Jethro Tull, which has nothing to do with Yes, and the American Grateful Dead, and like all these other bands, they all had individuality. And I would like to submit that a lot of genres are the same old same. If you're in a country and Western band, and God bless them, they make some of the best songs out there, there's a predisposition to talk about, here are the rules. Talk about your truck, talk about beers. If you can, put on a cowboy hat. These are the rules. And if you're in rap, there are rules. It's better to be of the street and do all those rules. Rock and roll was never supposed to be about rules, and that's the magic of it, that you could be anything and still be rock. So I would urge all bands and all creative people, write your songs. Don't worry what's popular. Just be who you are and dress the way you are. Walk and talk the way you are, the way God created you. And don't worry about everybody else. If you're running a race, don't look over your shoulder to see who else is running. Just do what the military does. Be the best that you can be and just look straight forward.
Well, I was in the military for 39 years, and I am a triathlete, so I understand that analogy. And I'm going to say hello to our audience in Chile, Brazil, Fresno, California, Jackson Heights, New York City, Florida, and all over the world. I'm Scott Brown. We're here with rock legend, rock icon Gene Simmons. He's in California.
Chile, ¿cómo está, compadres?
and I'm in Lower Hutt, Wellington, New Zealand. And you were talking about your own image and be yourself. I know this, but quite frankly, I'm just going to step back for a minute. I'll never forget the first time I met you. I just did a 110-mile bike ride for charity in Massachusetts for cancer. And Gail says, "Hey, there's some seats up at the Tweeter Center in Mansfield. You want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I know you don't drink, but I did. I drank. I had a couple of beers, and I will never forget getting out of the car. And there were KISS grandfathers, people my age, their kids and their kids, all fully made up. It was such a surreal sight. So I know the answer, but for those who are listening, who are the new folks, what is the story with like the makeup, your identity? How did you guys come up with obviously the facial paint and the amazing costumes? I actually have. I'm just gonna have to get up for a minute, Gene, and show you this one. I'm a KISS guy. I'm not just a fair weather fan. I mean, I mean, this is me, right here. All right.
Wow.
That's me, having some fun.
Wow.
So how did you come up with that concept?
Nobody in the band, neither Paul or myself or originally Ace or Peter, can take credit for the idea. We didn't have managers back then. We self-support. I paid for the rent and Paul paid for this. We just funded it ourselves. We wanted to put together the band we never saw on stage, because we go to see our favorite bands, Sly and the Family Stone and Love and Spoonful, and all these great bands. We'd hear the music, and the show there was no show, and the tickets cost more than the albums. So one day, without any reason, and who knows what it was, one of us, and I can't remember who, said, let's go downstairs to get some mirrors and buy some clown makeup and put makeup on our faces. Nobody can get credit. And we literally went upstairs, and I have photos from the original time, and we bought this two stand-up mirrors that were about 4 feet high. You lean them against the wall, which was a rat-infested loft where we rehearsed, a fire trap, actually. There were no windows, and smelled like poupeoli. You've heard of Lollapalooza? You've heard of Lollapalooza? This was Poopapalooza. And these mirrors would warp because they bent a little bit. So that helped us. And every single one of us put our own makeup on that first time, pretty much the way it is, not far removed. And I have nobody can take credit for it. It just happened. Put some kids, before they learn how to draw anything, put them in in one of those mud holes where they all play with each other, and they'll start to fool around. Or if you give some paint to little babies, they're just going to start doing this. That innocent, authentic, honest expression.
Yeah.
What happened to us?
Well, it's worked, certainly. And I just want to thank the Gene Simmons Facebook page, KISS Facebook page, U.S. Embassy in Canberra, Australia page. We have, once again, people watching from Mexico, Nebraska, Boston, Ohio, Manila. So there's obviously hitting that worldwide. KISS fans, obviously our fans, all of our folks here. We have a happy birthday to Jillian in New Zealand. Happy birthday.
They're from Manila, but not Mindanao? Oh, that's an insult.
We have to get them going.
Don't talk about them.
And guys, when you send your questions, which I'm going to get up on my screen in a little bit here, please tell us where you're from so we can identify it. One of the things, you talk about bands. I started playing about 6 years ago. I have a band here. We play regularly. We play rock and roll all night. I'm going to send the video to you. And I love Destroyer. And there's so many songs that I can just pick up right now and play it and love. Who is the songwriter in the group, or is it a collaboration? I mean, I know that whenever I see you, I know the songs you sing, but is it a joint effort? Is it you and Paul? Tell me a little bit about that.
It really is both. When we first started, we got together and started to, hey, how about this idea and that idea? And our names would show up on the songs that we got together in. But to be quite frank, we were on tour. We did over 200 shows the first year. So on the road, when you weren't doing 6 days a week, when you weren't doing concerts, and we played 6 days a week, every day, no days off. You're on your station wagon, because we went 10-hour drives, and you're strumming guitar, trying to come up with this. So Paul and I started writing separately. We came back together later on, but there isn't a KISS song where somebody doesn't have a point of view, whether your name is on it or not. Cold Gin is credited to Ace Frehley. The truth is, hey, that middle bridge that doesn't exist. How about this? So I came up with that, said, let's stick that in there, but you don't take credit. Once you're in a band, that thing happens where everybody sticks in, and part and parcel of that is you get the personality of the band on the songs. The answer to your question is, if Paul wrote a song or I wrote a song, then it's about 50-50 of stuff, and other guys write. The real thing is that the whole band contributes.
It's interesting. Ace actually came and opened up with Alice Cooper. I got to meet him, and he spoke very highly of his days with the band, and he played a lot of those songs, and everyone certainly recognized them. And you've had some really incredible members. I mean, Tommy Thayer not only is a great guy, his dad's a one-star general, as you know. He's a patriot like you all are. So regardless of who you've had in your band, I mean, every single one of them are just immensely, immensely talented. Is it tough shifting gears sometimes from whatever, forgetting the reason why, from one person to another? Because there's a certain amount of camaraderie, obviously you and Ace and everybody in the beginning, and then it shifted. How do you keep that kind of camaraderie and drive? I mean, you just said it, you're traveling all over the country. You guys are like workhorses, but not for that amazing energy, quite frankly, you may not have made it. So how do you keep that camaraderie and balance with the guys?
I'd like to, with your permission, because you're a proud former military guy, you understand that there are bad guys over there and the good guys are over here. And that's plural. And if you decide to go out there by yourself, it's just not going to work. And that you can be an expert over here, but you got this guy who can do that. So you've got the division of labor, and you sink or swim as one. And the great thing about a band is, and the worst thing about a band is, you either learn to work together or you destroy each other from within. And it's sad to say that there were years when Jagger Richards didn't get along, when Lennon and McCartney, got together. And biblically, because my people wrote the book that you guys like, this thing called the Bible, and we gave it to you. Even Cain and Abel, brothers, didn't get along so well.
Yeah,
and so the sooner you learn that you sink or swim together as a unit, the better you are. And that also sometimes means that tough love is what it's about. You can't go out into the field in the military, I'm not speaking from experience, and have a guy who's not doing his job, because if he's not watching it, you're all going to bear the consequence. Likewise in a band, if you've got drug addicts or alcoholics in the band, you got to get rid of them. Nothing personal. It's just you can't be up on stage. You can't play a football game, Australian rules or otherwise, pass the ball to your teammate, and if he drops it, hey, what's your problem? I dropped it. No, you didn't drop it. The entire team dropped it. You depend on each other. It's got to be a team. You can't drive a car well if there's a flat tire. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and you guys have had some legendary members. Some are still performing today. Others, obviously, you've kind of checked out. I have a question here from the project once again. They're going to cut these and air them live in their show. So thank you for participating in it. They're great people over there. The project in New Zealand is asking people to send in videos of their best party trick. Okay. So that got them thinking, not me, them thinking, what's your best party trick? When you have everybody over, what is Gene like? What's the best party trick, if any, that you do?
Not counting farm animals, I hope.
Yes, not counting farm animals.
All right, settle down. Don't get excited. Best party trick. Well, it's difficult, as you learned, unfortunately, Ambassador, when we started to talk. I tend to, like you do, suck up the oxygen in the room. So given the chat, but that's a good thing, because you don't want silence. And most people are self-conscious. I'm not. It's probably a loose screw someplace. Yeah, so given the chance, I'll go into joke mode, or if it's a serious conversation, philosophical, historical, religious, whatever you want, I'll either bore you to death or you'll be marveled. One way or the other, I won't stop. That's my best part. My best party trick is Gene Simmons.
I got a great question. It's actually from Shane Abrahams. Who would play you in a docudrama for Kiss, like Elton John, Queen? They had their docudramas that have come out. I know Joan Jett did one, which was featuring her mostly. If there's one, well, I guess the question is there one in the works? And she is from Tawa. And if there is, who would play you?
He's not as tall. I'm 6'2".
Besides me, of course.
Are you 6'2"?
I'm 6'1.5", so yes.
That's close enough. But if he was taller, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, okay, so noted.
Because you've got to have the, I'm an only child, and I've never had a bad day in my life, but I'm aware the world is not always a nice place. My mother is the perfect example of surviving the darkest hour of humanity in ever since existence itself. It's never been a worse time than World War II. Just unbelievable. With atomic weapons, even that never happened before, and hopefully will never happen again. So I've never been the guy that walks in a room and walks in, hey, how you doing? It's a nice day. Let's have some Kool-Aid. I've never been that guy. So I tend not to have a lot of friends. Not because I don't like people. It's tough. I'm not the bubbly guy. So if somebody's going to be playing me on screen, I don't want to kind of make up about myself. I don't want some bubbly guy who's going into acting and, Brad Pitt shouldn't be me. Too good looking, too pretty, and too, no. It should be some.
You want more like a Ragnar from Vikings, someone who's going to go out there.
Yeah. Better Darth Vader than Luke Skywalker. I'd rather Darth Vader than Luke Skywalker. Just Luke, much cooler guy.
May the force be with you. And we have people, Gene, once again.
Darth wouldn't say that.
I just want to introduce again, once again, for people just tuning in, Scott Brown, I'm the U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa, here with rock legend Gene Simmons in California. I want to thank the Gene Simmons Facebook page, the KISS Facebook page, our pages, the ones all over the world who the embassies are listening. We have people, Gene, writing now, tuning in from Argentina, Bolivia, Poland, the UK, all coming. Keep going. Let me hear what Bob from Massachusetts has to say. Mike, scroll it up. So here we go. This is Bob from Massachusetts, a 1984 graduate of Bentley. So he says hello to my wife, Gail. Say hello, honey.
Hi.
And a fan of Gene for years. He used to, yes, here comes honey. She needs to get in there. Here we go. And they were covering your songs in the late 80s. Music is one constant of time. When you hear a song of a time, it brings you right back to that time. What should musicians be doing to bring us back to this time with a smile, this particular time? So I think what he's saying is, hey, this is a pretty crazy time. How can we look forward in a few years to play some songs that kind of make us feel a little bit better about what's going on?
There are some songs out there that give me that feeling, and sometimes there's silly lyrics about Sophie. What's the song about kids with the sneakers and the things? There are decent songs out there that are uplifting. The search for the hit, the pop hit, the rap hit, all these rules. In the days of FM radio, bands and writers, a lot of them just wrote. They just wrote for their band because they needed material to get up on stage. And before then, there was something called the Brill Building, where you'd had hit songwriters, Carole King and so on.
Yeah,
Still Love Me Tomorrow, all these great, amazing songs. But their focus was, how do we get a hit song on the radio? And that's the way we survived. And then the bands came along that said, in fact, the Beatles would not allow any singles to be on their albums. Did you know that?
No.
All their hits, when they released new albums, it was all brand new material. And all their hit songs came later or before the album, and they were not put on the album. They wanted the album to stand as a whole. So it's a different philosophy. Neither is right or wrong. But I would urge writers, some of you just want to search the single, and that's fine. And then you've got certain rules. The chorus has got to be memorable and stuff. There are other songs that don't have choruses and are not memorable. Tubular Bells was one of the biggest albums on planet Earth, and it had no words, no nothing. So the idea of no rules is very exciting for me, because then you never know what you come up with.
Two things. I, along with others, loved the family Jewels, and they were asking what Nick and Sophie are up to. That's the first question. And then I just want to share something with you. Cheryl wants to share something with you, Jean. It was so sweet of you to do. Her sister Diane went through chemo in 2018, and she wrote to Jean and Shannon asking for a kiss do-rag for her while she was going through chemo. Not only did you send her one, he also sent her an autographed Gene Simmons tag with a message to her. She was elated, and when she passed away on September 21st, 18, those items were buried with her. Man, I'm almost getting a little teary-eyed here. So, I mean, that's the type of impact that you and others like you, the small little things for regular people who are struggling each day. That's why doing this today is so important. So I wanted to share that with you and ask you to comment on that, and then focus again on the question about what Nick and Sophie are up to, and your wife, obviously.
Well, in terms of sad stories, God works in mysterious ways and all that. People, there are diseases out there. There are people who succumb to it. And the least we can do, whether they're sick or not, is to let them know that they're loved. That's the most important thing, which is the tragedy of COVID-19. As people who are approaching death's door, the nurses and the doctors, maybe rightfully so, will not allow anybody else to be in that room. So they die alone without hearing the words, I love you, and it'll be okay, and so on. So they die alone and scared, probably. It's heartbreaking. We should, while you're healthy, if you're healthy, don't forget the idea of being kind to each other. Your wife is watching you now, Ambassador. She wants you to be nicer.
Yeah, she always does, Gene. You know the feeling.
And it also bears noting that, look, nobody saw this pandemic coming. And all of a sudden, everybody stood up and said, oh, we got to start getting along. So I see more courteousness. I see rows of cars going up in all around the world. In Italy, people get out on their balcony and start singing songs and clapping their fingers. And the first responders, food people, cops, nurses, people are going to work in the morning, and everybody else is on the balconies clapping and urging them on. And I see thank you signs all over the place and all over the world. We've never been that nice to each other.
No.
What does it take? Aliens to finally come? The 1 minute that unites us is, you know what? I forget about borders and religions, everything. Let's all get together and realize we're all human beings first and fight this menace. Sometimes it takes this menace, whether it's microscopic or from another planet, to unite us and remind us of our humanity. Don't wait for a dark, rainy day to be nice to people. It doesn't hurt. It makes the world a better place. By the way, you win too. People are nice to you too.
Yeah, and 99.99% of them are. And thank you. That's really a wonderful input. Before I ask you about Nick, Sophie, and your lovely wife, I've been asked for many people to say, request Gene to say a couple more things in Spanish to his Spanish-speaking fans. Lots of folks on the KISS and Gene Simmons page are all over Latin America, and they're listening and watching. So
okay, a few languages so that people.
You speak what, 5 languages?
A few. English was my third language. I wasn't born in America. I was born in Israel. I know I don't look Swiss. In Haifa. So a few words in different languages. Shalom chaverim, Hashem shel chaim, nolati b'Haifa. I know that sounds like a lot of ha 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 ha, but that was the language of Jesus. That's called Hebrew, and that's to all the Israelis out there. Mein Name ist Gene Simmons. Ich habe gelernt Deutsch auf der Schule für 6 Monate. Ich kann auch sprechen Hochdeutsch. Ich weiß, ich habe gesagt das richtig und stuff like that. That's German. That's called High German. The correct. It's like Queen's English, High German. Beszélek magyarul, mert anyukám született Magyarországból, de tudok beszélni magyarul, de nem születtem Magyarországból, születtem Izraelben. And in Hungarian, if you saw a beautiful woman, you say, Jaj, de szép rózsa vagy. The more you roll the R, the more she goes, ah! She does that. That's Hungarian. uh, a few phrases in Japanese, although I have to say, Nick, my son, is burying me in Japanese, right, Sophie? Picked up a lot of, he really delved into that. We were in Japan before the pandemic, and Nick and Sophie were running around to sightsee, and Nick just gobbled up a lot of the culture. But Goki ken kaga desu ka? Watashi wa Jin Shions desu. Naka saiko desu. And in Spanish, all you have to remember is ay 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 ay. That's one of their favorite songs, but more Mexicano. I come from the New York area, and I taught sixth grade in Spanish Harlem, which was more Cubanos and Puerto Ricanos. They'll know. Wow, they know about us. Yeah, otherwise known as Boricua, the original Indians who were there before white folks from Europe came and raped and pillaged them. But the original Puerto Ricans were Boricua, the original Indians. My daughter just gave me a warning to watch what I say.
Yeah, it's okay. This is PG-13 plus, so we're good.
Yeah.
And it's really been very, very difficult for artists to really have a living because they're all 1099 employees, independent contractors, so they don't, obviously have a source of income. It's been really tough on artists. Is there anything that you or your more well-known artists are doing in regard to trying to help those who are hurting?
Artists are, that's an area that should be addressed, but to be quite frank, you have to prioritize. There are lots of single mothers out there around the world, because not all fathers are wonderful fathers, as you are, Ambassador. And in some areas, 70 to 80% are single mother families where the father's not around. So we try to do our part, and that includes Africa as well. We support 1,400 kids who, unfortunately, most of them don't have a father figure at home, to have to go to school. You want to eat? We'll pay your food. You got to go to school. We'll get you some clothing and some books. You don't go to school, you don't get any of that. And right down the street, not far away from us, you and I, because we're both healthy, God bless us all, we're worried about the pandemic, which could lead to death. Right now, there are children suffering from cancer above and beyond that, and have for many years, right down the street at the Children's Hospital, just right here in LA. So, it's nice to talk about it. Shut up, Gene, sit down and write a big fat check. And that's what I do.
Amen.
And then you watch TV and you find starving children here. I break down and I write a check. And you got to do what you can do.
Yep. Thank you. That's great. We're trying to do our part, obviously, helping out and helping people that are less fortunate, as well as everybody is around the world. I have a couple of things, Gene, then I know you need to wrap it up. It's probably past your bedtime. So so you and I would get along just fine. Don't worry. As a first responder, we have Tom Johnson. He wants to thank Gene. Thank you for always acknowledging them. Timothy from Sydney says, I have cerebral palsy and I met Gene Simmons at the Sydney Vault Experience. I'm a full-time musician. I want to thank Gene for his kind words that day and ask, does KISS have any, is that annoying? Is that right?
Unannounced.
Yeah, unannounced. Come on, learn how to spell, will you? Unannounced, exciting new projects, unreleased materials coming soon, or anything that humanity, especially Timothy from Sydney, has to look forward to?
History 4, the documentary, has been done for a while. It's been caught up in legal stuff. There's an overseas thing that'll be fixed. And there's a documentary we've been working on that spans our entire history with, real interest stories. I think most people, real honest, tug of the heart, and sometimes hard hitting. That's going to be coming out after the pandemic. A lot of projects, big books. Here's one of the things I'm really excited about is to put out we're working on the deal now, a huge coffee table book. I mean, as big as we can get it. And it's posters from 1973 until 2020 or 2022. And these are original posters, almost, you're going to show me one so that people will see. And which one is that one? Go ahead.
Actually, this is a pretty cool one. This is when you guys performed. I don't know if you know that. Remember this one?
Yeah.
But this was in Wellington, and you guys had, it was actually Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, Poison, Lordy, Whitesnake, and Kiss, signed by every one of the artists. And so, I mean, those are the types of things you're talking about, right? Things like that.
No, those were just Kiss posters.
Oh, just Kiss.
Yeah,
That's great.
Kiss posters from the very beginning. And it's interesting historically, when you go back, some of the bands we took out on their first tours. So you'll see Kiss with the faces, and you see little AC/DC, see Kiss and Little Rush. These are all bands that we took out on the first tour.
Ted Foley, the same thing. They told me, yeah.
Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Scorpions, you name it, we took them on their first tour. Not because it's about, hey, we know stuff. We're fans too. When you hear something that's good, you say, hey, that's kind of cool. And if you have the power, somebody gave us a chance to get up there. Carry it forward, pass it forward. Give somebody else a chance to get up there. And we weren't some of those assholes, who would pull down the volume when the opening act was. That's all nonsense. You want to use all the lights and all the sound, go for it. Just be as good as you can be, because that makes the whole night better. And if the fans love the whole night, who wants a stinky band opening show? Come on.
Amen. Well, Gene, I want to just thank you. Then my band, the One Bar Heater, I guess will be ready to open up for you. So that's fantastic. And I'll turn it way the hell up there. So don't you have any problems. I will crank the crap out of it. Listen, I want to close by just saying thank you. I want to thank everybody around the world who has participated. Gene, you're a good man, and the facade. Listen, people do like you, and you are a gentleman. And I want to thank you and your family, Sophie especially. Sophie, I know you're listening. Thank you for really being Herculean and rescuing Dad and making this happen. You don't know how many people, Sophie, you personally have made smile. And Gene, same with you. Keep rocking, keep smiling, keep challenging and testing and pushing and poking and prodding and making people be better. And I'll just turn it over to you for the final closing. I do want to thank my United States Embassy staffs for everything they did. I want to thank the State Department for not shutting us down, basically, and that's great. So, Gene, I'll give the last word to you.
I'm an only child. And because my father left us when I was about 6 or 7 years old, my mother was God. I don't know how else to say it. She, my mentor, my moral compass, everything. And I always wanted to be the tough guy. And for almost all my life, I found it difficult to actually verbalize, I love you. I literally never said that to anybody I was with.
I love you too, Gene. Is that what you're telling me that, right?
I do. I do love you. Yes, I do. And I'm telling you, all you guys out there, especially who are so full of yourselves, there are two phrases you should get used to saying if it connects with your heart. It's important. We got to say that more to each other. Ambassador, I suggest as soon as this is over, you walk over to your beloved wife and tell her, look at her in the face and say, I love you, because the words are true. When you don't say that, the world gets a little darker. I'm sure she's
pointing at me. She's making all sorts of facial expressions. Yes, okay. It's not even a stretch.
And the very last thing is, whether you're religious, no matter what denomination or religion you are, it's okay to use God's name. It really is, as a goodwill thing. Don't be shy in telling the people you love, I love you, guys or girls. Just, I love you. And you can always finish your conversation or a meeting by saying, God bless you. I wish you well. There's no higher I wish you well than God bless you. Okay? So those are the two phrases I suggest everybody around there, besides this, which in sign language means I love you, right? So tell the people you care about, I love you, and wish them the best that you can. God bless you.
Gene, we love you, and God bless you and your family, and best to the guys. Tell them I said hi. And you're really amazing. So God bless you and your family. And hopefully we'll get to see each other again not too long. Thank you. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.